Okay. So try to remind me, please.
You forgot that you didn't forget.
Yes, I forgot.
Yes, it was recorded and it's no problem. Don't worry.
والله طب الحمد
Yes.
لله. Yes, okay. Bismillah. So again, this is a form we can just apply with our mentees or our learners as a kind of a guided form or guiding questions to use with our mentees, okay? And nice to see you, Miss Amira. I'm very happy to see you today.
Me too, Miss Noha, والله. Miss Fardoos, sorry. Me too,
Yes, and
والله.
Noha, no
And Miss
problem at
Noha,
all.
for sure.
We are one, wallahi.
I'm happy to meet you all.
Thank you, Amira, and we are happy too.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have talked about the goals, of course, and the getting to know tool form. And the second part is pre-observation meeting. What do you mean by pre-observation meeting? And again, we have a question here. Do you like when the supervisor enter your classroom without any permissions? Without telling you?
No, we don't.
Why don't we like this way of coming without taking permission? How do you feel when a supervisor comes without a permission or without preparing yourself?
Stressed and under pressure. They put us under pressure, of course.
Yes, of course, we feel under pressure. What about if he asked you or took your permission before entering and you prepared yourself and you are ready to meet a supervisor or any comer? How would you feel?
More relaxed, of course.
Of course, more relaxed and more comfortable, and even our learners, either young kids or adults, of course,
They get
will
anxious when someone they don't know enters our session. Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how old they are. It's always
Yes, and the students themselves feel more confused and maybe perplexed if someone visits them without telling them as a teacher, someone is gonna visit us today, and feel free to express yourselves or discuss or answer any questions. So it's very important for all people as young learners or adults to be ready and prepared before visiting them, of course. Okay, so what's your experience with the pre-observation stage? Do you usually have pre-observation meetings before observing or being observed? As a teacher, do you usually have pre-observation meetings before observing or being observed?
I used to have my colleague. We used to do this with each other. We go to enter each other's classes, and we used to do this pre-observation meetings.
Okay, how do you prepare for it, Noha?
It's not actually about preparation. It's I noticed something wrong with my class, and I asked her for help in this specific point, and I did this several times.
Excellent. What about if a supervisor entered your classroom and after the lesson or after the session, he told you you have done a lot of mistakes and have to correct them? How do you feel? And what's your reaction when he do this with you?
Actually, I take this good because all my supervisors, thank God, we're very nice people till now. Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, you're lucky enough to have such a good experiment. Okay, yes. What about the others? What about the others?
Yes, if this happens with me, I will be frustrated, by the way. At first,
okay.
I will search for the problem and try to solve it.
That's a great. Okay. Have you ever thought about telling the supervisor you are offending me or you are bothering me?
No.
No.
Okay, so.
Yes, but Ms. Fardoos?
Yes.
Yes, sometimes some supervisors comment on the lesson and say that you pronounced this word in a wrong way. But in fact, I pronounced the word correctly. and sometimes I use the dictionary, and I make him or her hear the word, and they still cannot convince that this word is correct, and they are incorrect. What shall we do in this situation?
Okay, I let our dear colleagues answer this question. Okay, how can you act in a situation like this, my dear friends? If you are right and your supervisor insists you are wrong and he's right, but
I think I will. Sorry, Ms. Fardos.
yes,
I think
okay,
I will
Amira.
stop. I will stop talking with him, and if I am right, it's okay. This is my thoughts, and this they are right. So I won't argue him because a person like this, he do not want to learn the new things, and I don't have any ability to convince him. So I will stop talking with him because
No,
I
first,
have an evidence.
for
Yes.
me,
Okay, this is the point of view. Yes. Yes, Noha?
I usually check it, and the transcription usually, because I like transcription, and show it to him, and I'll ask him, how do you read this, as if I'm having trouble reading it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, what else? What about the others? What about you? So, okay. Yes, I agree with Amira and Noha. If you have a supervisor who is or who insists on his right, he feels that he's only right and you are wrong, and of course we have a reference to go back to. I will do the same as you do. If he's not convinced at all, I may stop arguing with him and show him the dictionary and ask him, as Noha did, how can you read this or how can you pronounce it? And by the way, and alhamdulillah, we have internet now, and we have online references which can help us too. We can listen to the dictionary, of course, the one with a voice, and we can tell him that we can hear together and decide which one is wrong. And by the way, my dear friends, we have a big problem in Egypt concerning pronunciation. Sometimes maybe each one of us have a different dictionary, and we hear different pronunciation for the same words. I can pronounce a word in a way, Noha pronounce it in a different way, and Amira pronounces it in a third way, and so on. Okay, it's okay to accept all the pronunciation again, as much or as long as we can understand the meaning and the message from the speaker. And this is all what native speakers focus on all the time. All the time they tell us that don't care about the different pronunciations, is it right or wrong. Of course, when we are teaching our learners, we have to check each sample or each single word we are teaching for them, but we have to put into consideration that there are different accents and dialects all over the world. Even the native speakers themselves can pronounce the same way in a different with a different accent or dialect. And inshallah, next time I'll show you a video for some native speakers, British, American, and Australian, and how can they pronounce the same word in a different way. It's the same like us as Egyptians, البورسعيدي والصعيدي والدمياطي والسوهاجي and so on. All of us have different accents, but it's okay till we are all telling or giving the message from our speaking or from our speech. If your learners can understand you and get your message, so it's okay even if you have mistakes, and all of us have mistakes, so it is human, by the way. And those who make no mistakes learn nothing or do nothing. كلنا بنغلط. It's okay ان احنا نغلط and to correct ourselves, but you have to choose or decide which way to follow. Either to stop arguing with the supervisor who feels that he's the only right person in the world, or try to be more positive and tell him just okay, let's listen together, or let's check it together. He will of course feel embarrassed, and he will not tell you you are right, but in his mind or when he sits with himself, next time he will sit with you and pronounce it the same way as you checked the word together, by the way.
I had this
yes.
session I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yes, no, okay,
But it
go on.
happened to me last year during one of my tags. I have a problem with a fossilized word clothes. It was one of the mistakes that it was fossilized, and I tried to read it right or say
Yes.
it right, but I said it wrong during the session, and one of the trainees, yes, opened his mic and played it on his phone. No, he didn't say it. He a recording or a voice. I think it was from Google or something. So just
Yes.
the word, just during the session, so I can hear it. And
Yes.
it was a little embarrassing, but later I think he was nice to do this without even anyone noticing. They just let it happen.
Yes, he
So
just
I guess
trying.
supervisors take it a little. It was for them. It's kind of offending to have them corrected by us as teachers. You know.
Yes, 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 that's right. It's the same like if one of your learners is correcting you, and it happens with us all the time, especially with learners who take private lessons. When you pronounce a word, even if you are pronouncing it correctly, one of your learners said, "Miss, it's not like this, it's like that." So to stop the argumentation with such a kind of learner, you can you can play a record, or you can let him hear the word, or check it together to be sure that you are right. You are not here telling him you are right or I'm right, but together you can tell him that, okay, let's learn together and see which is the correct one. And this is what I always I learned it from a young learner. In the past, he tells me, "Miss, okay, can we listen to the word from the audio?" We listen together, and we smile that we both learn it the right one. Not you are not wrong and I'm not wrong, but we are learning together. And we have to tell our supervisors, our learners, or whoever is visiting us, we are all learning, and we never stop learning. All the time we try to learn, we try to correct ourselves, and this is human. And it's okay to have mistakes, so it's not a problem at all. And even if it happens with you inside the classroom, if you pronounce a word in a wrong way, okay, we can stop and said, I'm sorry, I said it wrongly, and I can, or in a wrong way, and I can correct it next time, and I can check it. Okay. So it's
yes,
not
Ms.
a problem.
Fargos, yes, this is what happened with me, by the way, last week in the training with teachers. I asked them to make sure from the word in the dictionary, by the way, it's okay. I'm not sure from the pronunciation of this word. Please, can you check it on the dictionary? It's okay. I am a teacher like you. So
Yes,
why?
it's
okay.
great. And we are all learning together. And this is what I always tell my friends. We are all learning. I learn from you and you learn from me, and we are all learning. It's okay to have something wrong or to pronounce a word in a wrong way. We are not native speakers, but by the way, but we are learning all the time. Okay. So let's watch a video about the do's and don'ts of teacher mentorship. As teachers, we ourselves do the same. Sometimes we are judging and criticizing our learners, and we cannot notice ourselves, by the way. So we have some do's and don'ts, and we have some advantages and disadvantages. So let's watch the video and and give feedback after watching it together, inshallah. Okay, so are you ready for watching this video?
Yes.
Okay, tell me when you can listen or hear the sound. Okay. My internet connection is bad today. Okay.
Cabrera, and I love to teach.
My name is Morgan Dalton, and I love to teach.
My name is Lonnie Ray Pomeroy, and I love to teach.
My name is Leticia Cabrera, and I love to teach.
My name is Morgan Dalton, and I love to teach.
Going into my first year, I was really nervous about all the stuff they didn't teach me in college. With my mentor teacher, He made me feel really comfortable with just introducing my personality into my class.
As a new teacher, you're always still learning, you're trying to implement new things in your practice. So it's always nice to have those veteran teachers or professionals to kind of lean your shoulder on a little bit and then kind of bounce ideas off of.
I doubted myself a few times. It was so stressful, but having my mentor, I would talk to her and it would just help me and bring me back to, you know, my senses. I'd be like, okay, no, I am gonna be okay.
If no one did that for me, I wouldn't be the type of teacher that I am now.
They've had those same struggles, so then they can help kind of hold your hand and guide you in that transition from college to the actual classroom.
And she actually took me step by step through the process of what good teaching should look like. And she would model lessons and she would provide support and really that encouragement component on the days where I just felt like I couldn't go any further. And even after our 2 years were over, she continues to pop in. You know, she continues to check in on me. And as I told her that I was looking at the national board process, she continues to encourage that and to support.
And it was really just nice to have somebody there just kind of, you know, put his hand on my shoulder and just say, hey, it's gonna be all right.
Here in Arizona, we have such a diverse, you know, community. So even though it's not just an ELL class, we have a lot of students that, you know, can benefit from that.
I really like the idea of a mentor-teacher program, and I could see me being that person, being a mentor-teacher to new teachers in the future. And I feel like this is a way that I'm able to give back.
I really don't know that I would have been as ready and as comfortable to take on that role had she not have provided such great support during those first years. But I really do believe that mentors could really help you, give you the support that you need. I mean, I couldn't see myself without one. Like, I would have not been able to survive my first year without my mentor.
So again, my dear friends, it's the same with you. When you are working with your learners, have you felt or have you you tried the same feeling of our learners when are offending them? So from now on, how do you feel or how will you you deal with your learners? How will your relation be? Will it be as a kind of supervising them or watching them or trying to fix their mistakes all the time, or are you going to mentor your learners? How is your relationship with your learners will be changed after our sessions? I want to hear from you. We all agree that we don't like judging or criticizing or have a kind of pressure and stress over us from our supervisors or our friends sometimes or colleagues who are visiting our sessions or our lessons. So what about you? How would you change your relationship with your learners after these sessions? Can you tell me, please? Are you thinking?
Okay, I think Miss Fardosh, we must be facilitators, not directors or give direction all the time. We must be like mother relationship,
Yeah.
a relationship between mother and her kids. She doesn't want to make all the time her kid he's false. He does everything wrong. No, she's trying to forgive him. She's trying to give him reasons for what he is doing as much as she could.
Excellent,
So I
Amira.
think we must do this. Yes.
Yes, excellent.
This is my point of view.
Okay, so what is the most impressive sentence you heard from the teachers in the video, which impresses you? Can you mention a sentence which impresses you?
The learners, to encourage them.
Encourage the learners. Yes. What else?
Support them.
There is a very impressive sentence in the video. One of the teachers have said,
Give them
yes,
help.
I love teacher and I love
teaching.
Yes, and I love to have someone who touches my shoulder and supports me and tell me that you are okay. This is very important. It's the same with our young learners or with our learners or with people in general. It's very important always to put your hands on their shoulders to support them and tell them you are going to be okay and you are doing well and you are amazing. Good words and giving support at the suitable time is very important. Okay, so let's see together what is the purpose of pre-observation meeting. Okay, and by pre-observation we are talking about how to qualify or how to prepare our learners to deliver from us after that. And of course we have a rule which we all agree on, which is there is something right and something wrong. All your answers are acceptable. We accept all answers. You are all right, but how can we modify right and wrong, my dear friends? How can we change the word right and wrong? How can replace it with another gentle, simple sentence? What can we tell our learners? How can we tell them?
I can tell him, if you do this like that, we will be better than your way.
Better, excellent. So better is the key word. When you are dealing with people, don't say this is right or this is wrong, but you can tell them that it's okay, you are okay, this is good, but you can make it better, more better, or you can change it to the best one. Okay, so this is very important. So let's know together what is the purpose of pre-observation meeting. Okay, here the pre-observation meeting comes after your initial get-together meeting. So the first step when you are dealing with learners is getting to know each other. You tell them about you, and of course you know about their hobbies, their interests, likes and dislikes, and everything about them. And here comes after the first meeting to conduct the needs analysis and decide on what to include in the mentoring contract. And we have talked about the contract. It can be oral or written, or it can be both. This is when we choose to make our contract oral and written, just to focus on or to assure the kind of commitment of our learners. At the same time, how can we achieve the goals of our learning together? Okay, also we mean the goal of this meeting is to decide on the purpose of your class visit. If you are a teacher trainer, you can tell your trainee about the reason for this visit, and of course you tell him you are going to visit him not to have a sudden visit and let him feel frustrated or embarrassed, or he has a pressure and his learners will be confused. So the mentee and mentee discuss together areas the mentee would like the mentor to observe and provide feedback on. So it's very important all the time to give feedback, and as we watched in the video, to have questions, to answer the questions and to solve the problems. Also, it is recommended that the observation is focused and limited to 2 or 3 areas per class visit in order to provide for quality and in-depth feedback that can be translated. So if you are visiting one of your colleagues inside his classroom, will you talk about a lot of things together or 2 or 3 things with his lesson? Which is better, to talk about all the steps he has done in his lesson, or to talk about 2 or 3 areas during the lesson? Which one is better?
2 or 3 areas.
Of course, to talk about, the less you talk about, the more focused the feedback you will give him. Okay. Yes, of course. This is very important. Here is pre-observation planning example questions. If you are visiting one of your friends or colleagues, or if you are a supervisor, and of course we don't want any one of you to be a supervisor, but to be a mentor, inshallah, we can ask questions like this. What are you planning to teach? And if you are observing one of your colleagues, you have a friend which is you feel more relaxed and comfortable to talk together and discuss every point with him or with her, you can ask the questions like this. What are you planning to teach today, for example? Okay. What do you want students to know and be able to do as a result of this lesson? So what are the goals of your lesson? Which curriculum standards does this lesson address? What are the curriculum standards? How does this fit with what you have been doing recently with your students? Is it suitable for your students or not? Also, we have questions to identify what will be taught and how it will be taught. So here we'll talk about the way or the method you are gonna use. What specifically will be introducing, reviewing with the students? How will you do that? Do any of your students have special needs? So you can ask about the learners themselves if they have problems or disabilities. If so, how will you accommodate them? What modifications or scaffolding have you done with them already? So how can you solve their problems or deal with them during your lessons? What will I see when I observe at the beginning of the lesson, the middle, the end? So you can elicit the answer from him just to warm yourselves or refresh your minds about the start, the end, and the middle of the lesson. What will you be doing? What will the students be doing? What is the most crucial ingredient for this lesson to be successful? Are there any parts of the lesson that you aren't certain about? So, and this question I think is one of the most important ones. If your colleague has some problems or a little bit worried about explaining or reaching the objective or something, you can give him a helping hand here. You can suggest to him some ways of simplifying or make it more easier for the learners. Also, we have questions on routines, procedures, and materials management. How many students do you have? We can ask about the number. How will the students be organized, the shape of the setting individually or in groups? What are the benefits of organizing the students in this way? How long is the lesson? So when you are observing someone, you can know every single detail about his lesson. And I think observation is very important because we learn a lot of things without talking. We can notice things spontaneously and smoothly. You can watch your friend how he uses his word, how how's his relation with his learners. Does he have a good rapport or a bad rapport? How does the learners interact with him or with her? How did he start the lesson? What did he use in the middle of the lesson? And how did he finish the lesson? And is his feedback effective or not? And when we are observing others, of course, we learn a lot because we are improving ourselves. We notice what's going in a way which is not okay with him, and how can we improve and modify it to be better with our lessons and with his in the future. Okay. So we can ask the questions about reminder for the new teacher. When you are observing someone, sometimes even we are observing ourselves. If you are teaching two classes at the same grade, we notice that the lesson here is different from the other one. And we observe the difference, and we can tell a new teacher how to interact in such a situation. We can tell our colleagues, and we can sometimes tell ourselves how can we modify and of course improve ourselves for the coming lessons or sessions. Okay, so this is a handout of pre-observation planning example questions. If you are observing one of your colleagues or observing a trainee or a mentee, you can put into considerations these kinds of questions to have a good reflection and a good feedback on your observation session. Okay, so during the pre-observation meeting and all the stages of mentoring, the mentor should exhibit some basic communication skills. So is it important as a mentor or as a teacher or as a trainer to have some skills? Is it important to have some skills?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Like what kinds of skills should a mentor, a teacher, a trainer, an educator have? What kind of skills should we have?
Flexibility.
Flexibility. Excellent. What else?
Concentrating on 3 or 4 points each time he visits learners.
So to be punctual or to be focused. Okay. What else? What else?
For language skills.
Yes, we have to be skilled at listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Okay, but we don't mean this, by the way, Mr. Ahmed. We mean what are the skills needed for the observer? Either he's a mentor, a teacher.
Communicative skills.
He must have the skill to put the medicine inside ice cream, to be to give his notice or his comments without hurting others.
Yes, okay, so to be a supporter, a facilitator. Okay, so let's see together what are the basic communicative skills needed for the God mentor. Okay, the first one and the most important one is active listening. When you are observing your learners, your mentees, your trainees, your children, your friends, your sibling, your couple, your fiancé, your husband, any person, you have to be skilled at listening. Let's see together. The first point is active listening, the first skill. The second is building a rapport, and we talked in detail about building rapport from the very beginning by smiling at your learners, by asking them about their hobbies, maybe by chatting, maybe using Arabic, their first language, maybe by showing them some pictures, or by observing them, by encouraging, by praising, all these kinds about building rapport. Also effective language. So all your answers are really great. You are to the core and to the point of the skills. So we have some skills like active listening, effective language. Of course, you have to choose the gentle and the polite language to impress the listener or the mentee or the trainee or the learner. And of course, building rapport. So let's start with active listening. So, and when we say active listening, why don't we say any listening? Why don't we say only listening? Why do we choose active listening? Why?
To know where to stop from talking, and to know how to listen to others without interrupting them.
Great, that's a great point. What else? So not to interrupt others is very important. Excellent, Amira. What else?
To be good listeners for others.
Good listener. Okay, why? Why to be a good listener, or why to be an active listener? Why?
To give them the chance to express themselves and to make them feel that there is someone listens and appreciate their speech.
Great, that's really great. Okay, so let's see together. I agree with you. So here, what's active listening? Take a minute to reflect on the concept of active listening. Think about one of your friends who you think is a good listener. What do you think makes them a good listener? Okay. Do you have a friend who's active, who's an active listener? And why? Why do you love this friend? Do you have an active listener?
I have a friend who is
yes.
Okay, now I want one of you to tell me, why do you love this friend? What are his or her characteristics? Why he's an active listener? Can you tell me?
He listens to me with carefully.
Yeah, he listens to me carefully. Okay, what else?
She usually she just keeps listening. She never interrupts until I finish completely, and then she starts giving me notes about what I said. So she's giving me a chance to give everything I have, and she's attentive to all I say, that she comments in the right time.
Wonderful. What else? Okay, what else?
She doesn't lie on me, by the way.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, okay. What else? She's not judging. That's great. What else?
I think that interruption is a kind of misusing power on others.
Great. Yeah, totally agree.
Yes. So when someone listens to you, he gives you, as you said before, he puts his hand on your shoulders and supports
Fantastic.
you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
I love it.
It's a great point to have someone to listen to you, and after you finish, he will guide you what to make, what to
terrific. Wonderful. So let's see together. I do agree with you, and I do appreciate your answers. And this is the kind of listener we want in our life. So as we have mentioned in the very beginning of our sessions, this is the core of mentorship. We are not going to judge others anymore. We are not going to deal with our learners in a tough way anymore. We as human, we need to have others listen to us, to put their hands on our shoulders and say, you are okay. Listen without interruption. So let's see together what's active listening. So active listening is a technique of careful listening. You all said that, so listen carefully. An observation of nonverbal cues. Noha said, she listens to me without any interruption, and she's attentive all the time to what I'm saying. And this is very important. With feedback, she tells me what to do in the form of accurate paraphrasing. So when you are listening to someone with care, you listen to them and you are repeating their sentences again, trying to solve their problems. So this is active listening, okay? So careful listening, observation of nonverbal cues, feedback, and paraphrasing. This is active listening. So let's watch a video about active listening to check our understanding. And you are all amazing and wonderful, by the way. Let's watch it and give feedback, okay? So are you ready for this video?
Yes.
Okay, show me a big yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's great. والله يعني وحشاني كلمة يس العالية دي من بدري. Okay, let's watch together. Sound clear?
Talk about active listening skills. So let's get into the details. Hey there, I'm Alex Lyon, and I actually have a 1-hour course on effective listening skills for leaders. I will tell you more about that at the end of the video. So listening is so important because good listening is probably the easiest way to connect with other people and build relationships. Active listening is the opposite of passive listening, and you have probably experienced this. The person you're talking to might technically be hearing some of what you're saying, but they are tuned out. They're on autopilot. They're just not mentally engaged with what you're saying. And as the speaker, this can be very dissatisfying, very discouraging when people really aren't paying attention to us. Like, why am I even talking in the first place? But active listening looks, sounds, and feels obvious. Active listening means listening completely. But before anybody does that well, there are two secrets, two prerequisites to active listening. Number one, you have to commit. You have to put aside whatever else might be distracting you and make listening a real priority. Good listening is first and foremost a choice that you make every time somebody speaks. Number two, it takes practice. Like any skill, you have to work at it. The good news is that listening is not mysterious or complicated. So let's talk about 4 qualities of active listening that you can put into practice. First, active listening involves nonverbal communication. And there are 2 sides to this. On the one hand, you're demonstrating that you're engaged in paying attention nonverbally. You put your devices completely away, you make eye contact, your body posture is open and oriented toward the other person. Now on the other side, you're also noticing the speaker's nonverbal cues. There's an expression, you listen with your eyes. And part of that means you're noticing what's happening with the person visually on their mood or their emotion that they're showing. Do they look nervous, frustrated, annoyed? You can pick up on that by actively observing their nonverbal communication. Second, active listening involves verbal communication. Again, there are 2 sides to this. The most obvious part is asking good questions. Probably the most common pattern that good listeners demonstrate is that they ask a good question and then they let the speaker fully